You may remember the building on the corner of 23rd and Virginia as the OCU Boutique, but once renovations are complete, it will open later this month as a restaurant called Rehearsals. The restaurant is being operated by Sodexo, and campus officials tell us it's a partnership. OCU owns the property and has leased the building to Sodexo. As part of the lease agreement, Sodexo required the university to agree to serve beer and wine. Also, students will be able to purchase food and alcohol in the restaurant with their STARS cash. But serving alcohol at this restaurant could present problems. To explain some of the conflicts surrounding the new business, we're joined now by News on the 2's Hailey Holloway. Hailey, we hear some students are confused.
That's right, Megan, and we're hoping to clear up some of the confusion about whether or not the restaurant is technically on campus. Because as a private Methodist university, OCU has very clear rules regarding alcohol being present on campus. So if Rehearsals is on campus, there could be an issue with the restaurant violating OCU's policy. You can see on the university's campus map that the building, still labeled as a boutique, is represented as a part of OCU's campus. We talked to Dr. Rick Hall, Vice President of Student Affairs, who claims that the building is not on campus. We asked him why that's the case, because the building is owned by the university, is adjacent to campus, and has a physical address on the campus map. But Dr. Hall argues that those details are irrelevant.
We may disagree on what's on campus and what's off campus, but one of us gets to win.
OCU's student handbook says that the use of alcohol diminishes the integrity of the institution, and it is the intent of the university to educate and encourage students to abstain from alcohol. But Dr. Hall says it's a personal choice.
Alcohol service is a part of our culture. It's a decision you have to make as a student about whether you drink it or not.
But the student handbook's rules are pretty specific. It's not a personal choice when you're on campus. Any students found using alcohol on campus can face disciplinary action by the administration. Dr. Hall says that means it's all about where you're drinking.
So responsible use is not against the rules of the institution. Where you use it does.
Which brings us back to the issue of whether Rehearsals is on campus or not. You can imagine what the reaction would be like if you could buy alcohol here in Alvin's. But Alvin's is in the middle of campus while Rehearsals will be on the outside edge. That seems to be the reason the campus rules don't apply. However, the university is aware that there might be a discrepancy, but they think the potential benefits of having the restaurant justify their position. OCU President Robert Henry said philosophically,
Emerson said a foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of small minds. We're trying to be consistent, but we're not trying to be foolishly consistent.
OCU is set to profit 10% from the restaurant's gross sales, which means OCU will essentially be making money off of the sale of alcohol. Because of the integrity of the institution wording in the handbook, we asked why the Board of Trustees would allow alcohol service and profit in light of university policy and Methodist ties.
That's really a decision that Sodexo has made. We're not going to stop it because we want it to be a successful establishment adjacent to the campus.
Several trustees told us that they were made aware of the restaurant, but the administration did not ask for the board to vote because it was deemed an administrative decision. We are now joined live on the set by the president of OCU Student Government Association, Robin Ladd. Robin, thank you so much for agreeing to talk to us today. We're excited to have you on the set.
Thank you for having me.
We understand that you were not a member of the Board of Trustees when this was all kind of taking place, but you do sit on it now,
yes,
correct?
I do.
So help us to understand, is this the kind of decision that the Board of Trustees would typically be involved in?
It wouldn't be. It would be more of an internal process. I think that's one of the things that possibly could be explained. The board is brought in on larger decisions. For instance, when we decided to purchase a law school downtown, that was something I got to be a part of. It was something that went on for the future of the university. But this is more of an internal matter, and that's why it was passed over to Dr. Hall. And it makes sense, you know, he's student affairs, and a part of that is food service, so it would make sense for him to take care of it rather than taking it to the board.
Okay. We touched on a little bit about how the handbook says that alcohol diminishes the integrity of our institution. Do you feel like, since in this instance we are going to be profiting off of the sale of alcohol, in your opinion, does that diminish our integrity as a school?
Well, I feel that rehearsals is kind of a catalyst for change. I think that the university is kind of making a turnaround, and that's how I've decided to view it. I think that it's a great idea, and sometimes an action must be taken before the words are kind of fitting that. For instance, in the 60s, you had to have sit-ins before everyone said, okay, maybe we should look at the rules a little bit and let's see what's going on. So for me, rehearsals is a good idea. I don't necessarily think that that will stand as time progresses.
So are you thinking that this is kind of the first step to having alcohol on OCU's campus?
I do. I do think it's the first step in a policy change in certain spots. I don't foresee it, going into dorms or being allowed in the external fraternity houses, but I do think eventually that the university will allow alcohol in certain places.
Do you think that it is time to go ahead and make that policy change, since rehearsals is opening this month? So we're already kind of pushing that boundary of whether or not we need to revisit our policy. Is it time to make it now or wait and see what happens?
Absolutely. I do think that the policy should definitely be reviewed and looked at immediately. This is really a way of us saying, okay, we've done this, let's examine the rules now, let's look at it. Is this the best thing for our students? Is this what we want to do? So,
have any of OCU's students kind of come to you as our voice and said, hey, I'm confused about this, what's going on? Have you heard any of that?
Right. I was actually in class once and I had to explain to several students, okay, students' money is not going towards the restaurant. There was a lot of confusion about that. Sodexo is paying the university for that, so student dollars are not going to fund this new operation. Although it was a part of, student concerns. We said we wanted a new eating venue, we wanted somewhere to be, we wanted somewhere else to eat. We get tired of Alvin's in the caf all the time. So they decided to do that for students, but students' funds don't go to that directly.
So since students are confused, do you think it's time to maybe have an open conversation between our administration, who's basically making this decision for us, and the students that are kind of saying what's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, an opportunity like that will be presented. March 12th, the Senate branch of SGA will be hosting a cake and meet at 8 p.m. in the Great Hall. There will be administrators present, including Dr. Hall, and students are more than encouraged to attend and ask the questions.
Great. Well, I really appreciate you coming and voicing your opinion as the voice of the student body. We could not be more grateful to have you in here.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on the set. Emily, back to you.